Welcome to a brief presentation of Hands-On, an English course for students preparing to take the Professional Baccalaureate. It is written by teachers with hands-on experience, one reason for the title, and who use the material in their classrooms every day. There are two levels. The first is for seconde classes, and the second for première and terminale. The Professional Baccalaureate examination changed quite recently, and Hands-On has been designed specifically to fit the new exam and conform to the 4 thematic areas laid out in the curriculum. Here you see how the sequences in the second level correspond to those themes. Each book is structured along the same lines. The examples I'm using are from the second level, published in 2014. The book is divided into 20 chapters or sequences. Each sequence deals with one particular theme and puts the student in the position of someone who is given a specific task to carry out, a specific action to take. This is the very basis of what is called the action-based approach, as recommended in the European framework. You will notice that the title of each sequence is in the first person, so as to bring home the fact that the student is at the centre of the approach. Each sequence begins with a double page that introduces the theme and the task. This is the opening of sequence 4, one of the 8 sequences that deal with the domain of culture and entertainment, se cultiver et se divertir. The photos have been chosen carefully for the way in which they each represent a different aspect of the cinema, which is the central theme of the sequence. Here we touch on the history of cinema in Britain and the USA, on recent trends, and on the economic aspect of the movie industry. On the opening page, there is also a detailed summary of the sequence. Each sequence is divided into 3 sessions. The third session is where students carry out the specific task that is set at the beginning, and the first 2 sessions are preparatory ones. They provide students with the tools they will need to carry out the final task. And then, at the very end, there is what we call a mini-bac, an activity structured like the exam itself, which enables students to become familiar with what they will be asked to do for the baccalaureate. The students are made aware from the outset of the task they will be set. It is laid out, both in French and in English, in the box called Scénario. Notice also that the predominant language skills of each session are also mentioned in the small red squares. There are 5 skills in all, as specified in the European framework. We use abbreviations for the skills, which are explained at the beginning of the book. Once the students have found out what the final task is, and have been introduced to the theme through the pictures, as in this opening double page of sequence 14, we can move on to the first session, which may be either 1 or 2 pages. Here is an example from sequence 14 again, I'm a report writer, which fits into the domain of studying and working, étudier et travailler. The final task is writing a report on a training course, so, naturally, the first session introduces the students to the vocabulary and structure of this sort of report. At the top of the page, you see the skill that is being practiced, reading comprehension. The activities are designed in such a way as to bring an element of discovery to learning. It is not a question of learning lists of words or doing mechanical exercises. Students are given challenging things to do that make them think, and especially make them think for themselves. This is helped by the fact that students are constantly asked to relate the activities to their own experience. We can see this illustrated particularly well in the Practice at Home box on the same page. These boxes give you ideas for homework, often done as preparation for a follow-up activity in class. As well as the Practice at Home boxes, there are other recurring features, such as the vocabulary boxes. These are on every double page of the sessions and contain the words that are both difficult and important, and which figure in the texts and activities. When a word presents a pronunciation problem, we give its phonetic transcription. Each word is followed by its translation into French. There are 2 other recurring features. The grammar point, which looks briefly at grammar arising from a listening or reading passage. This one is from sequence 16 and deals with modal auxiliaries in sentences from the recording. Through a series of questions, we help students discover important rules or principles. This is deductive, not prescriptive grammar. When appropriate, we also give a reference to the relevant paragraph in the grammar summary at the back of the book. The other recurring feature is the pronunciation box. These boxes highlight certain difficulties and get students to practice and correct their pronunciation. The second session is designed along exactly the same lines as the first. This example is from sequence 18, dealing with administering first aid. You can see at the top on the left the skills that are being practiced. Then comes a first activity linking pictures to different emergency situations. Activity 2 is listening comprehension, speaking and reading comprehension. Activity 3 is listening comprehension and speaking again. The activities are very varied, but they all relate to acquiring the language skills needed in handling an emergency. And once again, there is a vocabulary box, a grammar point, and a practice at home section. The final task is laid out, in the same terms as it was on the opening pages of the sequence, on the left-hand side of the final double page. This is the task that goes with sequence 18 that we've just been looking at. This time, the task is accompanied by several pieces of advice on how to carry out the task, things to think about, research students may wish to do, things to pay particular attention to. Half of the page is devoted to self-evaluation. Students are encouraged to rate their own work, and in doing so, to appreciate both their strong and their weak points. This also enables them to map out their progress throughout the year. The final page of the sequence is the mini-bac, which takes students through a simulation of the baccalaureate, stage by stage. This is the mini-bac that goes with sequence 4, dealing with the cinema. At the back of the book, after the 20 sequences, come 2 more sections. Firstly, the tape scripts of the recordings that are used with the various activities, so that students can refer to them if necessary. And a short grammar summary, with some exercises for extra practice. Finally, on the flaps inside the covers, there is a list of irregular verbs and a guide to pronunciation. Like all our other textbooks, Hands-On is available in digital form. In its enriched version, it comprises interactive exercises and, for the first level, some video sequences. The teacher's book is available in both printed and digital form. The material in Hands-On has been tried and tested in the classroom with excellent results. It provides you with all the tools you need and is totally in the spirit of the new professional baccalaureate curriculum and examination.